Tennessee closed the deal with transfer portal running back Star Thomas. Why, this is not the transfer portal edition fans wanted, but it's one that Tennessee absolutely needed. That and more to Monday, Locked On Vols.
You are Locked On Vols, your daily podcast on the Tennessee Volunteers. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Hey, good Monday morning, everybody. Welcome into Locked On Vols. I am your host, Eric Kane. Today's episode is brought to you in part by our friends over at FanDuel Sportsbook, where the NFL playoffs, so you can make it even more exciting. Right now, new customers can bet $5 and get $300 in bonus bets if you win your first $5 bet. Visit FanDuel.com to go ahead and get started today. Going to talk about Star Thomas and why this was a pretty vital piece, a pretty vital addition for Tennessee in the transfer portal. I'll get into that here in a matter of moments. We'll look back at Tennessee's junior day from over the weekend, the first of several here in the spring semester. Who was on campus and who's Tennessee kind of moving the meter with in terms of traditional recruiting for that class of 2026 and even some 2027s. And obviously it was a heartbreaker for Tennessee in the mid-state on Saturday. Chaz Lanier comes up just short at the rim there as time expires, or there at the end of the game for the free throws. We'll kind of dive into that as well here as we get started on a Monday. Don't forget, mailbag edition of the show, that's tomorrow, so get in all your questions, comments, concerns at _Caner and at Locked On Vols, and please comment on the YouTube video. Do my best to answer all those on tomorrow's show. All right, so yeah, Tennessee needs wide receivers. Tennessee needs offensive linemen. Tennessee would love to have another defensive tackle. A lot of you guys want another safety. A lot of you guys don't like the linebackers for, Tennessee and kind of what Tennessee's working with. And obviously it's been, widely assumed, and, I've talked about it here on this show, and we've talked about it at the VolQuest. The primary focus, not saying that they've done perfect in the transfer portal, okay? I'm not just sitting here being a mouthpiece and saying, oh, well, you need to, dive into this narrative. But the focus was obviously keeping the players intact, keeping the team intact. So much of it is roster retention nowadays. And you look around the SEC, sure, this team's got 11 commits, this team's got 12 portal commits, this team's got 9 portal commits, and that's all fine and dandy. How many of those teams have lost starters via the transfer portal, or key contributors, maybe rotational pieces or key backups that you didn't want to lose? I'm not saying that everybody that left Tennessee's roster, are replaceable. I think that for the majority of the players that left via the transfer portal, they are replaceable. There were a couple starters in there, no doubt, okay? Tennessee's most productive wide receiver in a room that's not been very productive overall the last 2 years entered the transfer portal and squirrel white. So again, I'm not minimizing all that, but Tennessee did a pretty good job in terms of roster retention, getting a new deal done with Mike Matthews, keeping him out of the transfer portal officially, keeping Nico, even though there were some rumors that were spreading there towards the end, and keeping Nico intact. Boo Carter's another one. You know what I'm saying? So that was kind of Tennessee's primary focus. Now, sure, you've got to start over the wide receiver room, and that's an ongoing conversation throughout the spring semester and throughout the offseason. You've got to find some answers on the offensive line. We still don't know about Andre Keurig at left guard. Will he win another year of eligibility? We don't know yet. There are some areas where there's definite questions. But Tennessee needed another running back, and I'll tell you why. Sure, Dylan Sampson's declaring for the NFL draft. That was not a shock whatsoever. That was expected. Tennessee is going to have to replace that production, and I believe Tennessee is going to go back to the running back by committee, and it's going to be a sharehold of 2 to 3 guys. You have Peyton Lewis, you have Deshaun Bishop, but you needed another guy there that you can count on, and that's what Star Thomas is going to be. Star Thomas, running back, transfer portal commit. We talked about him leading into his visit on Friday's show. But in case you didn't catch Friday's show, we'll give a quick little refresher here. Star Thomas has been around the block, if you will. Spent the 2024 season with Duke. Spent 2022 and 2023 in Conference USA with New Mexico State. Spent 2020 and 2021 in junior college at Coffeyville Community College. All right, he's been productive every single place that he's been. 871 rushing yards, 7 touchdowns this past fall with Duke, averaging 4.1 yards per carry in the ACC. That's getting it done, okay? That's not all ACC, but that's not bad. That is not bad whatsoever. He had a 3-game impressive stretch where he ran for 122 yards, 111 yards with a touchdown and 166 yards and 2 touchdowns in games against UConn, MTSU, and North Carolina. Sure, UConn and MTSU is not the competition in the SEC, but North Carolina's not a bad football team, and he ran for $166 and 2 touchdowns against them. He neared 1,000 yards on the season. He was also a weapon out of the backfield, 20 receptions this year, 153 yards, and another touchdown for the Blue Devils, receiving the football out of the backfield. So he was productive at Duke. He was an All-Conference USA tailback in 2023 with the Aggies of New Mexico State, and just kind of dawned on me, Star Thomas will play his former team, one of his former teams, in November in non-conference slate when New Mexico State comes to town to Neyland Stadium in the month of November in 2025. 2 years, 28 games with the Aggies, 1,173 yards, 220 carries, 9 touchdowns, 34 receptions, 351 yards, and 5 more touchdowns. Very productive at New Mexico State. At the JUCO level, in 2 years, 14 games, 2 years, 14 games, 160 carries, 970 yards, 11 touchdowns, and was an all-conference selection in 2021. So he's been very, very productive, and that's important. You want to have a guy that you can count on. And sure, the SEC is going to be a whole nother beast. I recognize that. The SEC is better competition than junior college. It is better competition than Conference USA. It is better competition than the ACC. I get all that. But he's got a guy that's been productive every single stop, and so you can put some stock into that, and that's what Star Thomas is going to be. It's going to be a work share, okay, probably led by rising sophomore tailback Peyton Lewis. Thought he had a really, really good freshman campaign. Thought he came on there towards the end. He's got a great blend of strength, one of the fastest guy, if not the fastest guy on the roster for Tennessee. Sky's the limit for a guy like Peyton Lewis. But he's been banged up some, right? He missed all offseason pretty much with an injury that opened the door for Deshaun Bishop, who is going to be counted on by Tennessee next year. Deshaun Bishop, the local product out of Carnes High School. Great story. We've talked about it numerous times. Okay, he's re-up with the with the Vol Club. He's back. And that's great, but there's durability concerns big time with Deshaun Bishop. He got hurt in fall camp, missed all of the 2023 season, which would have been his true freshman season. He would not have had a role in the backfield that year anyway, but he missed the year with a season-ending injury. Okay, he missed about 4 games in 2024. He came back at the end and looked good against Vanderbilt, did a great job against Ohio State, but was, again, banged up in that game against the Buckeyes. Durability is a concern for Deshaun Bishop. So behind Peyton Lewis, who's been banged up before and is just a sophomore, you have Deshaun Bishop, who, when he's healthy, you like what you've seen about him. His yard per carry has been really, really good. Will he ever be all SEC? I doubt it. But Deshaun Bishop averaged about, I don't have it in front of me, I want to say about 5.9 yards per carry this year, which is really, really good. But durability is a concern. So behind Lewis, you have a banged-up Deshaun Bishop, and then you have 2 freshmen in Justin Baker and Juwan Morris. And I think everybody thinks Juwan Morris is going to turn into a pretty good player, but will he turn into a pretty good player after just a spring, going through drills, spring practice? You never want to block the path of production and development and all that, but the fact is, he might not be ready. Justin Baker, Juwan Morris might not be ready to contribute, give you key snaps in the fall, and specifically pass protection. But Star Thomas is a guy that has been there and done that. He'll have to come in, he'll have to learn the system, he'll have to learn the tempo and all that, he'll have to learn the terminology, but he's a veteran guy that has done that each of the past couple of years. So I think this is a really, really good get for Tennessee. I think this was kind of a pivotal get for Tennessee as well. You go into the spring now with 5 scholarship tailbacks, and he's going to be the leader of that group, Star Thomas will be. Sure, Peyton Lewis and Deshaun Bishop will have more quote-unquote credibility, right? Game speed credibility in this offense and all that, and they will get the bulk of the carries. But in the fall, if all is healthy, Star Thomas is going to play a role in that backfield. He's going to get him some carries. He's going to own a split share of that workload, and that's a good thing for Tennessee. So, Dylan Sampson was incredible this year, All-American SEC Player of the Year, declaring for the NFL draft as a junior and all. That is all fine and dandy. Tennessee ran for as many yards, or for the second most yards in modern program history, nearly 3,000 yards on the ground, the most rushing yards Tennessee's ever accumulated since 1951. Those are all fantastic. But I remind you, from 2021 through the 2023 season, okay, Tennessee exceeded 2,500 yards on the ground. Tennessee has always been a very good running football team, and it's been because they've done split shares and they've kind of had a 2 to 3 man rotation. And Tennessee's going to utilize that, and Star Thomas is going to benefit from that in a massive, massive way. So Big time get for Tennessee, in my opinion. Again, it's not the one that's going to be impressing fans. It's not the one that is going to have a whole lot of excitement with the Tennessee fan base, and that's fine. Because, again, there are questions at wide receiver. There are questions on the offensive line. There's questions at safety. There, more so than anything, there's questions at defensive tackle. There's a lot of questions around, and I get that. But this is a much-needed addition for Tennessee. And so congrats to the Tennessee coaching staff for locking it down. He came in on Friday. To be completely honest with you, Tennessee already had all the momentum before his visit came in, before he came in for his visit. Leaving campus on Friday, he knew he was committing to Tennessee, was going to do it on Saturday. The basketball loss, I think, kind of changed that plans, to get the most rub out of the commitment graphic and all that. But he pulled the trigger in terms of committing to Tennessee on Sunday, and here's where we are. So Tennessee now has 3 commits via the transfer portal, joining Wendell Moy, on the offensive line at guard, Amari Jefferson at wide receiver, and now Star Thomas at running back. And we'll see if Tennessee will continue to add to the class. But more so than anything, Tennessee's priority, the prerogative, was keeping the team intact, And Tennessee's done just that. Now they're just trying to add where they see fit. And we'll see if Tennessee's done. Of course, Tennessee very much still looking at some other options as well. Hey, when we come back, we will take a look at the traditional recruiting landscape. Junior Day was on Saturday. Who was on campus? What did Tennessee do to move the meter in terms of some prize prospects? All that and more is coming up next. We continue on a Monday. Locked on Vols. This message is brought to you by PrizePicks, the place to get real money sports action. With over 10 million members and billions in winnings, PrizePicks has changed the game in daily fantasy sports. Whether it's the playoffs or the regular season, PrizePicks has made it easier than ever to win big while enjoying the football action. Now, it's playoff time, and there's no better way to get in on that action than over at PrizePicks. Here's how it works. You simply pick more or less than 2 to 6 players, and if your picks hit, you can win up to 1,000 times your cash. Yes, that's right. 1,000 times your cash money just by making a few simple picks. For me, it's all about hot take season. This week on PrizePicks, I'm looking at Lamar Jackson for over 250 passing yards. Of course, that was last week, leading into Sunday night. Over 250 passing yards, and Travis Kelce for more than 70 receiving yards. It's fun to predict, and it's easy to play. Plus, with PrizePicks Flex Play, you can double your money even if one of your picks doesn't hit. And with the app, you can get winnings fast, sometimes in as quick as 15 minutes. Ready to run your game this football season, this playoff season? Download the app today and use the promo code LOCKEDONCollege to get $50 instantly after you put your first $5 in lineups. That's right, $50 just for playing. So don't wait. Take your game to the next level with PrizePicks. PrizePicks, where you can run your game. All right, guys, welcome back to your Monday morning Locked On Vols. I'm Eric Kane, so happy to have you guys here for the ride here today. And, of course, you everydayers, tomorrow's your show. Get in any questions, comments, concerns at _Kaner at Locked On Vols. And, of course, please comment on the YouTube channel of this episode. I'll do my best to answer any questions on Tennessee basketball, Tennessee football recruiting, transfer portal, Tennessee baseball is coming up. If you guys have a question just for me, hit me up at _Kaner at Locked On Vols. You guys know what I record, sometime in the afternoon, getting ready for the next day. Okay, so there were a number of prospects who were on campus for a junior day for Tennessee's class of 2026, and a couple of these players I wanted to highlight. This is certainly not everybody that was on campus, but some of the more intriguing prospects, and we'll start with an Auburn commit, an edge rusher, really, really good size, top 100 prospect, and I'm going to butcher his name, but we'll learn his name as the cycle continues. Hezekiah Harris. Again, he's an Auburn commit, 6'5", 230 pounds. According to the On3 industry rankings, number 54 prospect in the country. On3 specifically has him as the number 41 prospect in the cycle, 7th edge, and second player out of Alabama, where he attends Jameson High School in Huntsville, Alabama. Harris was one of the many prospects, one of the headliners that was on campus for Tennessee's junior day, and again, he has committed to Auburn. I want to say like last July. It's been a minute since he's been a free agent, if you will. But as we know, it's never over until you sign that national letter of intent. Tennessee's working hard to try to get Harris. But he was on campus for a junior day, and he joined another fellow top 100 prospect, an edge presence, and that's Rodney Dunham. I had a chance to go over to Myers Park prior to the Tennessee-NC State game in Charlotte. Myers Park is in Charlotte, North Carolina. I had a chance to watch Rodney Dunham and Brody Keefe, a wide receiver. Both those guys standouts for Myers Park. And Dunham just screams James Pierce, right? He's tall, he's slim, he's explosive off the edge. You put about 30 or 40 pounds on him. Well, maybe not that much, but you put about 25 to 30 pounds on him. You retain that speed. Man, that's going to be a weapon at the Southeastern Conference level or at the Power 4 level. And Rodney Dunham has been a big time. He's been a big time, fan of Tennessee. He's been on campus at Tennessee for, several games. I think he was there for the Alabama game. He's also a right-handed pitcher. Many schools, Tennessee included, has a lot of interest in him at the, on the diamond at the collegiate level. But Rodney Dunham's a guy that really, really likes Tennessee, really likes James Pierce, has tried to model his game after James Pierce. At least that's what he told me whenever I talked to him after that game. And he was back on campus for a junior day for Tennessee. And one of those ones that pretty much anytime Tennessee opens the door, it feels like Rodney Dunham is in attendance, and it's good to see him get back on campus this weekend. Again, an edge rusher. On3 has him as the 19th overall prospect in the class, third best edge in the class, the number 3 prospect out of North Carolina. 6'4", 215 pounds. That is Rodney Dunham. Another prospect that Tennessee hosted this weekend that I'm going to highlight is Jordan Smith. All you guys and several Tennessee fans on social media are saying, well, the safety recruiting's been awful. Well, this dude's a baller, okay? Jordan Smith, safety, 6'2", 180 pounds. Tennessee's doing a good job of kind of getting in this recruitment. He's from Houston County, Warner Robins, Georgia, so from the Peach State. On3 has him as the 83rd overall prospect in the cycle, so a top 100 prospect, the number 7 safety, and the number 10 player from Georgia. The On3 industry rankings has him at number 99 overall, 10th safety, 12th player out of Georgia. It's 247 that has him way up the board, number 57 overall, where On3 has him at 83. Rivals has him at 195, which is way down there. And then, of course, ESPN that just allocates no resources to recruiting, and I don't even know why they still try it. 248 overall in the country, which is just hysterical. When you got one publication having as high as number 57. Anyway, Jordan Smith, explosive, good speed, good ball skills, plays both sides of the ball there at Houston County, and he was on campus for the University of Tennessee's junior day. And this is one of those big time prospect, highly rated 4-star. That when you want to talk about good pieces, good options at safety, but no high level blue chip recruits, right? High level blue chip recruits. Jordan Smith is kind of one of those guys, and he was on campus for Tennessee's junior day. Jonez Walton, class of 26, a running back from Carlton, Georgia, where he attends Central High School, 5'9", 190. He is another top 100 prospect that we're going to highlight here that was on campus for Tennessee over the weekend. 58 overall by On3, number 4 running back in the class, number 5 prospect from the state of Georgia. 5'9", 190, again from Central High School in Carlton, Georgia. That is Jonez Walton. Tennessee has done a really good job of kind of getting some early running back commits the last couple of cycles. Dylan Sampson was an early commit to that class of 2022. You had Peyton Lewis, who was a fairly early commit. You've had Justin Baker, who was a commit for the class of 2025 for a long time. Then it was DeJuan Morris that came in late. But Tennessee obviously did a good job of getting a running back commit early in the class, with Jerry Mack when he was here. And then, of course, Sims is hard at work. But Walton would be a really good one. Again, explosiveness, good breakaway speed, runs well between the tackles at his level, and, of course, plays against some of the best high school competition in the country down there in the Peach State. So Jonez Walton was on campus this weekend for Tennessee's junior day. A couple other guys I'm going to highlight. These are not top 100 guys, but certainly really good players. Braden Rouse, linebacker from Marietta, that area in Georgia where he attends Kell High School. Tennessee has a lot of interest in Rouse, the linebacker. I'm not even going to try to pronounce his first name, but his last name is Katoa, okay? Interior offensive lineman, 6'3", 370 pounds. He is an absolute load. And, Tennessee's got some early interest there where he attends high school in Texas, where he attends Trinity High School. A big-bodied interior offensive lineman was on campus for Tennessee earlier on Saturday, and we'll see if we can get a hold of him and talk with him, leaving campus, and hopefully we'll have a write-up over there at VolQuest.com. But Katoa is a very intriguing prospect just because you can't coach size, right? He certainly hasn't. TJ White is another linebacker from the state of Mississippi, Jackson, Mississippi, where he attends Jackson Academy. 6'3", 220 pounds. He was on campus this past weekend. On3 has him as the number 146th overall prospect in the cycle. On3 is the only one that has him ranked as a national prospect right now, but of course, it's still early in the cycle, and all these other publications will redo their rankings. But a guy that can run really well at the linebacker position, the second layer of the defense, sideline to sideline, kind of like Jaden Harmon in that respect. TJ White was on campus this weekend as well for the junior day. A couple of commits for Tennessee was on campus. Quarterback Faison Brandon was there. Recent commit Gabe Ascenda from Baylor was there. Braylon Outlaw, the linebacker commit, was there. Brandon Anderson, offensive lineman, was on campus for junior day. Tyron Evans, recent wide receiver commit, was on campus for the junior day. The only ones that weren't on campus, again, 8 commits, 5 of which were on campus on Saturday. 3 weren't. Those were Tyreek King, wide receiver from Catholic, Carson Sneed, tight end from DCA in Nashville, and Tyson Bacon, the defensive lineman from Hoover. Those were the only 3 commits of the 8 that were not on campus. But there's going to be another junior day here coming up pretty soon as well. But again, Tennessee, 3rd-ranked class in the country as of right now, first in the SEC, very early, but off to the races with 8 commits so far. And the talent level that was on campus for the junior day on Saturday, again, those are huge. Those are big-time junior days, because what those junior days do is they kind of give you another look. Everybody comes for a game day visit, come for a junior day, not all the fanfare, get to spend more time with the coaches, other guys in your class. You get to see more of the campus when it's not just a game day visit. And then that gets you back on campus, hopefully, for spring practice. And then that gets you back on campus for an official visit in June. And then hopefully, if all that lines up, man, it leads to July or August commitments for the University of Tennessee. Okay, so recruiting never stops. Talked a little transfer portal recruiting in segment 1. Talked traditional recruiting here in segment number 2. And we're going to talk Tennessee basketball and the heartbreaker in the Mid-State coming up in segment number 3 right here on Locked On Vols. It's your Monday show. Stay tuned. What to say about our friends over at FanDuel Sportsbook? From the first whistle to the final drive, FanDuel makes the NFL playoffs even more exciting. Right now, new customers can bet $5 and get $300 in bonus bets if you win your first bet. That is $300 to keep the action going all night long. The FanDuel app is easy to navigate and has a variety of bets that keeps every single game exciting. Plus, when you win, you get paid instantly. No waiting around for your winnings, whether you're betting on your favorite team or just looking to add some extra excitement to the playoffs. FanDuel's got you covered from every single angle. It's a safe, secure, easy-to-use app. Plus, you can do it online as well by visiting FanDuel.com to join today. And you're going to get started again with $300 in bonus bets. That is $300 in bonus bets at FanDuel.com and on the safe, secure, easy-to-use app. Make the playoff season unforgettable with FanDuel. It's an official sportsbook partner of the NFL. It's where you can make every moment more. Hey, what's up, guys? Got a final segment left here on a Monday show. This one's not going to be a fun one because, man, wasn't Saturday just it was a kick below the belt. It was nerve-wracking. It was a gut punch. It was a slap in the face. Whatever metaphor, whatever comparison you want to draw, it was not fun, right? I mean, you had a game where foul trouble told the story, right? 2 early fouls for Zakai Zeigler, 2 early fouls for Felix Okpara. 2 early fouls for Jemiah Mashack. And that changed the way the game was played. You had Zakai, who played 13 minutes of the 20 minutes in the first half, but he set for 7 minutes to kind of end that half. And that's where all heck broke loose, right? And sure, there was one really, really bad sequence there towards the end of the first half, Jemiah Mashack fouling the 3-point shot and all that. But, man, I mean, you had a chance to not only go to the locker room with the lead, in my opinion, but also go to the locker room, with a nice little lead, potentially, if you did some different things. You had Darlinstone Dubar, that after the heroics in the second half in Texas last week, 9 of his 12 points in the second half, 3 3-pointers that either gave Tennessee the lead or tied the game up against the Longhorns. All the swag that he just kind of exuded there in Austin. After all that, he didn't play at all in the second half. And Rick Barnes, again, I'll kind of get to that in a moment, but he has simply said, hey, we need a defense instead of offense. And, well, Tennessee wasn't playing defense in the second half at all, as, Vanderbilt in the second half shot 46% from the field, made 5 of 10 three-pointers. Foul trouble and defense really kind of told the story for Tennessee, and turnovers as well. Tennessee turned the basketball over 11 times, a season-high 5 for Chaz Lanier, and I'll get the Chaz here in a moment, 3 from Zakai. And then you had 1 from Igor. And Igor had to play the 5 a lot of times. Igor shot the ball really well, 5 of 8 shooting, 2 of 4 from 3, perfect at the three-point line, perfect at the free throw line, 16 points. He had 5 rebounds. Igor had a good game, but because of the foul trouble and Felix can't play defense the way he needs to and protect that rim the way he needs to, although he still had 4 blocks, you had Igor having to play the 5 a lot of times in this basketball game, and that's not sustainable, That's just not sustainable. And then there's Chaz Lanier. And Chaz Lanier, who's been going through the shooting slumps of all shooting slumps and, not lacking for confidence, but at times, and then it feels like he is lacking for confidence at other times. He shot the ball well, right? I mean, into the game, 17 points, led Tennessee in scoring. That's great. 5 of 11 from the field. He made 4 of 6 from 3. That's a really, really good percentage. He made 3 of 4 from the charity stripe, but it's that one miss. It was the last one, and it was when Tennessee could have tied the basketball game with 2.8 seconds left. Poor Chaz Lanier, right? I mean, literally, like it was a homecoming for him. He had like 50 or 60 family members and friends in attendance and all that. And for the most part, again, he put on a show. He broke out of his shooting slump, but man, having a chance there at the end, at the rim, it got blocked. Having a chance there at the charity stripe at the end, it got blocked. And Rick Barnes, after the game, he said, quote, Chaz is such a great person. He's great. He's so unselfish. I hate it for him. Our team does because he wants to win. And he went on to say this is all new for him. He said, imagine 4 years ago. He was averaging 2 points a game and talking about being one of the the biggest names in the transfer portal, one of the biggest names in the country, and having to go through the rigors and the tough sled of the SEC schedule and all that. And a couple years ago, he was just a dude, right? Chaz Lanier averaged 4.7 points and 19.7 minutes per game 2 seasons ago at North Florida. But then he erupted as a senior, 19.7 points per game, shot 44% from 3, 51% from the field. And he had a chance, to kind of take that next step, right? To take a step, get out of a shooting slump, take a step as being one of the most feared shooters in all the SEC. He was inexplicably fouled there with 2.8 seconds left in the backcourt. I mean, like, what is Vanderbilt doing? I mean, just what a horrible decision, right? I mean, horrible decision. They fouled him. He goes to the line, 1-and-1, drills the first one. I don't even think it touched the rim, right? It touched nothing but net. Drilled the first one, and then the second one bounced off the rim, and the game ended. And Tennessee, when it was down 16 points in the final 11 minutes, they lost by 1 point, 76-75 at Memorial Gymnasium. Again, he's shooting 76% from the line on the season. He had 4 attempts, made 3 of them, but it was that last one that kind of told all the story for Chaz Lanier, and it's unfortunate because, again, you thought he was going to take that step forward, but then he took the step back, and he had a chance to tie the game there at the rim, and the shot got blocked with like a little over, 6-7 seconds left. Maybe if he went in for a dunk, it would have been a different story. Hindsight 2020. It's just unfortunate, and I hate it for him. I truly, truly do hate it for him, and I'm intrigued to see how he responds. I'm very intrigued to see how he responds because it takes a special type of player to bounce back from just a tough loss like that, and I think that he's got it, and I'm excited to see what he looks like against the Bulldogs here this week. No D-Stone in the second half. What did Rick Barnes have to say about that? Quotes, I thought early on he had a chance to shoot the ball twice. He didn't. We've worked on it enough. I mean, he's good at that. We talk about not forcing shots, but when shots are there, they've got to be taken. And Rick Barnes has said that about Chaz Lanier, right? That's why he pulled him with 11 seconds, into the half there against Texas last week. He also said defensively, quote, defensively, that's really what it was. We kept thinking that we're trying to get some defensive guys when we need a defensive stop. Yet Tennessee didn't play much defense in the second half. So I disagree with having Z on the bench the final 7 minutes there, the first half. I disagree with D-Stone not playing in the second half. Again, that's, easy, hindsight 2020. Darlinstone Dubar had three first half points, 1 of 3 shooting, and then didn't see action at all, especially after his heroics on the road at Vanderbilt there, last week. So nonetheless, we move on, and we'll see what Tennessee's made of, this week. A couple of games, huge game on Saturday. Obviously, the Auburn College game day is going to be there. One more thing. Rick Barnes, I pulled these quotes. I want to read them out here in case you hadn't saw them. Rick Barnes on sitting Zakai Zeigler with 2 fouls there in the first half. Quote, "We weren't going to risk that because I thought if we were able to just hold it right there at a 2-point game, we had the defensive lapse, and it really, really hurt us." And it was Barnes. They were down 2 points, 37-35 with 3.5 seconds left in the first half. Mayshak fouled. Vanderbilt's 3-point shooter. He made the shot, made the free throw, giving Vanderbilt a 41-35 lead and all the momentum heading into the half. Zeigler left the game with committing a second foul on Vanderbilt's 3-point shot attempt with 7:10 left in the first half. The Vols were outscored 20-9 without the senior point guard on the floor, committing 3 turnovers and failing to make a shot from the floor for nearly 6 minutes. So again, Rick Barnes he sticks to his guns, right? A lot of times, 2 fouls, sit. 2 fouls, sit. I think there should be some exceptions, right? Zakai Zeigler is that exception, in my opinion. So, again, easy to coach from the couch, easy to kind of look back, but Zakai should have played during that run there to end the first half. D-Stone should have been an option, especially when Tennessee's defense wasn't, fantastic in the second half. He should have played in the second half, for sure, in my opinion. And, stings for Chaz Lanier, man. I'm excited to see the way he bounces back. But overall, Tennessee now is 16-2, 3-2 in Southeastern Conference play. Vanderbilt, 15-3, 3-2. We will see how Tennessee responds. It's not going to get any easier. Mississippi State this week, Auburn on the road. Looking forward to seeing how Tennessee bounces back and how Rick Barnes and the guys respond. So it was tough. Any way you want to spin it, it was tough on Saturday, especially when you lose like that to the Vanderbilt Commodores. All right, that is going to do it here for this Monday show. Again, tomorrow, Everydayers, mailbag edition of the show. Get in your questions, comments, concerns. If you guys just want to ask me a question, feel free. But Tennessee football, basketball, recruiting, baseball's coming up. All that and more. We'll answer your questions on the mailbag edition of the show. That is tomorrow on Tuesday. Guys, I appreciate you. Thanks so much. Hope you had a great weekend. And we'll see if Tennessee can stay active in the transfer portal. Star Thomas committed to the University of Tennessee on Sunday. Could there be more? Let's hope so. All that and more, we'll break it down right here on Locked On Vols.